All right. So, Jacqueline, thank you for that. And thank you for giving me the floor. And good morning to all of you. And thanks so much for being here for this virtual meeting. I'm super excited to get out to Pocatello and see everybody in person. And this is a training, a department training we've been looking forward to for quite some time now. So it's really exciting to be seeing it all come together today. And, to start the meeting, I guess I always love to just share how a program like this comes to be. Especially, there's a lot of people out there who are capitalizing on an interest in firefighter wellness, and some of those programs are amazing, and some of those are targets of opportunity. And to truly understand where we began, I think just helps understand where we're coming from and what we're going to bring for your members. So this program truly began with me as the guinea pig, in that when Jacqueline and I met, I was working at the time, it was the third busiest engine company in Denver. We ran between 5,000 and 5,500 calls a year, and we were a notoriously busy night house. The running joke was always that our neighborhood didn't even wake up until 3 p.m., but the city was always going to get their 15 to 20 a day from us. And I loved it. I loved the busy pace. I was new, I was enthusiastic. It was a knife and gun club firehouse, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. But I was getting beat up at night. And then I was doing what so many firefighters do is I was coming home from work and I had day off obligations, alternative jobs. I was picking up overtime wherever I could, med unit shifts on top of that, and really subscribing to this model of power through. And I was fueling myself on energy drinks on top of junk food, on top of coffee. And as far as I was concerned, I was doing great and I was running strong. And it really took somebody who cared about me with an outside perspective in Jacqueline to stop me one day and say, like, babe, you think you're doing okay. You're not doing nearly as good as you think you are. And she kind of brought to my attention how things that I had normalized in the early years of my career were really highly atypical. And they were also something that had the potential to pose a significant detriment to our relationship early on. Things like coming home and coming home a little wired up and charged from the night and thinking I was going to go out and do a bunch of stuff with Jacqueline, and then sitting down on the couch while she got ready for the day and falling asleep. And she didn't know if that was going to be for, you know, 30 minutes or 6.5 hours. Also, things that I just thought were normal, like powering through being chronically sick, getting, colds and flu like symptoms, multiple times a year over and over again with little reprieve in between. So that's when Jacqueline introduced me to what would ultimately become the sleep recovery practice. And she challenged me and said, I want you to do this practice and to see how you feel. And I went into the practice, and admittedly, I joke till this day that I probably went into it with a little bit of an eye roll, but the relationship was new and I was excited and I was going to do anything that she told me to do. So I gave it a shot. And lo and behold, the
Good
first time I
boyfriend.
did this practice, I walked out of a 45-minute practice. Yeah, and I did it. And the first time I did it, I walked out of a 45-minute practice and I felt absolutely like it was a game changer. It was night and day. I was the most rested I've ever felt, the most refreshed I've ever felt. Some things that I've been holding on to mentally felt like they had kind of cleared for me. But I was still a little skeptical. So I was like, maybe it's anecdotal. Maybe it's just because I just actually hit the pause button for the first time and I don't know how long. So she challenged me again, and she challenged me to stick with this and add this as a regular part of my routine for a period of time. So I did, and I was doing it as a daily practice. And what was amazing is after several weeks, I went in and I did my firefighter physical for the year. And the results of that physical were truly eye opening. Without making any other significant lifestyle changes at that time, so still engaging in some stuff that could be pretty detrimental to my health, like the busy call volume with the energy drinks and caffeine and things that I had to address later. Without any of those changes happening yet, my physical came back with some of the best results I've seen to date, and currently still today at my firefighter physical. My resting heart rate was down, my blood pressure was down, my VO2 max was the best I'd ever performed. My testosterone was up 200 points. Across the board, I saw significant improvement just by adding in this little 45-minute period of like rest with the intentionality that I was doing every day. And that was kind of the moment that was like, oh man, this is really cool. There's something to this. I want to share this with some first responders. But at the time, Jacqueline was like heavily involved in an incredibly successful professional life, and it was just kind of an idea. Where this really changed is In 2000 and sorry, excuse me, in 2016, I very suddenly and unexpectedly lost my first partner on the job, my senior guy, and one of my close friends to suicide. And like anybody who's experienced this before probably knows, when we lost Mike, I think Jacqueline and I both kind of immediately defaulted to that. What did we miss mindset? And, at the time I was getting pretty heavily involved in things like peer support in my department. And what really stood out to me about Mike is Mike didn't check any of the boxes for all of the stuff that I was taught to look out for when we talk about taking care of our brothers and sisters on the job. We didn't have a major life change going on. We hadn't been on any one particularly bad call or series of compounding bad calls. His behavior wasn't changing in any way or shape. He was still being social. He was still interacting with people. He was still being happy. We were still doing fun recreational activities. He was making plans well into the future. He wasn't using substances. There was nothing to give me any indication that Mike was struggling. But in reflecting on this, what I did know about Mike is that for as long as Mike was on the job and for as long as anybody knew him, he had absolutely abysmal sleep. But he was a firefighter. He just powered through. He didn't look at this as a negative. He didn't even harp on it really. He just found a way to make himself productive when he wasn't sleeping. So it wasn't uncommon to find Mike at 2 o'clock in the morning striping tools or inventorying stuff on the rig because he couldn't sleep. And it wasn't uncommon for him to come back from his days off and tell me like, "Oh God, Toomey, I tell you, I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 2 a.m. last night. I was up the rest of the night." He's like, "Ah, but it's no big deal. It gave me a chance to get out in the garage and work on the Mustang." He was restoring a 67 Mustang at the time. So when this thing of sleep kept coming up over and over again, Jacqueline and I both started, going down. Really, Jacqueline started really delving into the research on like what does that do, or what role does that disrupted sleep play in your propensity for mental health disruption? Could that have been the missing key that we weren't seeing? And the link we found was astonishing, so much so that you could actually point to evidence that says you are 1.4 times more likely to take your own life by suicide when you have chronically disrupted sleep than if you have clinical depression. There is a direct and intricate link, and there is a very clear physiological pathway that demonstrates why that's possible. So from there, the research just spiraled, and we started seeing like, oh my goodness, chronically disrupted sleep isn't just directly linked to our propensity for suicidal ideation and action, which we already know is roughly 7 times higher than the national average in the fire service, but it's also directly and intricately linked to cancer, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, substance misuse, and a myriad of other health problems. It's the foundational missing link to unlocking optimal wellness for us, especially in a profession where chronically good sleep is something that can be really hard to discover without some interventions like what Jacqueline offers in this program. So I'll never forget it. It's still like one of the most incredible experiences of my life. Is we went to Mike's funeral, and after the funeral, we came back to our house together, and we were sitting in the bedroom on the foot of the bed, and Jacqueline, out of nowhere, told me like, I can't do this again. I don't ever want to see you do that again, and I'm going to walk away from everything I've been doing, and I'm going to build a program for first responders. She said, I believe that I could have helped or saved Mike had I brought this to him, and I'm not going to let that happen again. And to her credit, she never looked back from that day and that moment without a moment's hesitation or fear. She dropped everything and she dove into this program with a level of commitment and genuineness that I've never seen emulated by anybody else. She picked up a book that day and started researching and developing this program. And quite frankly, she hasn't put it down since. It's 24/7 minus good quality sleep. She is developing and making sure that this program is relevant and modernized and up to date with the science. And if she's not doing that, then she's planning events for first responder wellness, or she's on the phone with responders who have been through our program, just working diligently to see that this isn't just a flash in the pan initiative, but this is truly a global shift in the way that we perceive maintaining first responder wellness across the globe. It's been, quite frankly, an honor and a privilege and pretty awe-inspiring to watch it happen over these past 10 years or so. I am truly grateful to have my small little piece of this to be able to help share the message and the initiative that she's developed. And I can't thank her enough, and I can't express to you guys enough how much she has truly just worked tirelessly to become what is nothing short of a guardian angel for all of our brothers and sisters in the first responder community. So I'm grateful to have you guys to listen and learn about our program today, and grateful to be coming there to share this with your department. And so grateful for you, Jacqueline, for allowing me to have a small role in this truly monumental program that you've initiated and driven forward.
Thank you. I still get emotional thinking about Mike, thinking about seeing you bury Mike and making that decision. And I'm so honored to share this program with you all. And, you know, when I when I first created the first iteration of what this program is, I really didn't know if anybody would sign up. I was thinking, I'm going to knock on some firehouse doors. Let's see. I got a million no's. Okay, this is the honest truth of how it started. No, no, no. What is this? We'll sleep when we're dead. That's how it is. Suck it up, Buttercup. Let's go. Until people started taking this training. And then what ended up happening is I started getting calls from fire chiefs all over the US. Hey, I heard about this training you're doing, and I heard that firefighters are sleeping better because you have this practice, and da da da. And lo and behold, I've been very honored and humbled and deeply grateful to share this work, this practice that has transformed my sleep, Sean's sleep. And at the end of the day, my goal is to empower all of the firefighters who serve in Pocatello and Idaho. We've opened it up as well to some neighboring agencies as well. So let's talk a little bit about what is the sleep recovery practice, because you're probably wondering, what is this thing that they're talking about? So I've been fortunate enough to train in various somatic, breath, and relaxation techniques over the years. And there are various influences in what this is, but we will do a 3-step practice together. And I will actually guide you into a restful experience. And that third stage of the sleep recovery practice is a meditative technique that has actually been studied by various universities, as well as the Department of Defense, for veterans with post-traumatic stress, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, and fatigue. And it has been found so effective for treating those things that it is actually a Tier 1 pain and trauma treatment at Walter Reed. And it has been endorsed by the US Surgeon General for treating those things I just mentioned. For people who have really busy minds, which many of us do, who randomly wake between midnight and 4 a.m., who struggle to fall back asleep after a call in the middle of the night, this is for you. This is going to give you the tools to switch your nervous system. So you're in that adrenaline state. How do you fall asleep? No, your body's trying to protect you from whatever, threat. Your survival mechanism is there. If you're fighting a fire or extricating somebody out of a vehicle on the highway, you need to be awake to survive and to help someone else survive. However, because our hormones are primed, what happens is we come back to the fire station, or you all come back, and then your body's like, is the threat still there? Is the fire still burning? Is there another victim to pull out? Like, your body is convinced it needs to stay awake. So of course, it's just natural your body has a hard time falling asleep. So the reason why this is so powerful is that we're going to use specific body practices with the fascia in the body. I'm going to bring some different tools for you to use, and you'll be able to use common things at home that you could use to work with the fascia in the body. And once the fascia releases, the nervous system can breathe, and it starts to signal to the brain, oh, your muscles aren't tight anymore. oh, now I can actually start to shift back into relaxation. From there, we'll do specific breath practices that then cue the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest branch of the autonomic nervous system. Once you do a couple of specific breathing practices, oh, your nervous system downregulates more, and then you get to lay down and enjoy this guided practice, which most people, even to their own surprise, are like, what happened? I actually fell asleep and I can never fall asleep. What was that? You just follow along, and it's a very specific technique I've been trained in. It's effortless. You don't have to think about anything. You just follow along. And even if you don't fall asleep, there's benefit to it. So for example, this specific technique has actually been studied and found people who practice for 8 weeks, after 8 weeks, before and after they have their testosterone measured, and I can show you the study on this, they actually have improved their T levels after 8 weeks. And why is that? Because when you go into deep restoration, even if you're aware and awake during the practice has been shown to induce what's known as slow wave sleep. And if you've studied anything about circadian rhythm or sleep in general, slow wave sleep is known for your testosterone production. So when you go into that phase of your sleep, that's when your body's producing growth hormone. And this practice induces slow wave sleep brainwaves, otherwise known as delta. 0 to, I'm trying to think, 0 to, I can't remember the exact term, 0 to 4, I think, or yes, 0 to 4, I believe is the cycles per second, your brainwaves. I'll verify that. But either way, your body is in this deeply relaxed state, whether you're awake or completely asleep. And that might sound weird, like how could I have these sleep brainwaves while being awake and aware? That is the phenomena of this practice. A lot of people report like, oh, I feel like I'm somewhat asleep and somewhat aware. It's kind of like that liminal space when you wake up from sleep. Sometimes you're still in the dream state, but you're sort of aware of your outward environment. It's kind of like that. Okay, so that's the practice. I'm going to teach you all a few different versions. It's going to be like a buffet. So I'll teach you a couple different techniques, and then you're going to pick and choose which one you like, which one's easiest for you, and then you can implement whatever works for you and then leave the rest behind. So I always say, choose from the program like low hanging fruit. What is the easiest that will work for you? Is it a 10-minute practice? Okay, build from there and build what we call autonomic flexibility. So what I described when you go on a call, you have this sympathetic or fight or flight response. Sometimes our gears get stuck there, just like a manual, like, oh, I'm stuck in this mode. And when you create autonomic flexibility, you're now able to shift gears more fluidly. So you're going to downregulate and be able to fall asleep much more easily. So when I do this practice, for example, 9 out of 10 times in just a couple minutes, I'm completely asleep. So I come from a background of a very busy brain, and I always struggled to sleep growing up. And I always had like this busy mind and this excitement for life, and like, I don't need to sleep. I want to just enjoy life. And as I have had my own experiences in life, for example, when I was in college, I was nearly killed by a drunk driver. I had actually learned this technique a month before nearly being killed by a drunk driver. I had a traumatic brain injury and I had a spinal cord injury. Not fun for a 19-year-old. And what was so fortunate about learning this technique before is that it helped me survive that period of time where I was really injured morally, like deeply saddened that my brain might not ever be the same, saddened that I was 19 years old and I was hobbling like a 80-year-old man with a stick. Like I went through a lot from that experience. And it was from these practices that helped me be able to fall asleep, even with the pain, even with the deep mental unrest that I had. So this technique supported my specific path. And that's how I knew, oh my gosh, like I healed naturally. I had a neurosurgeon that said, Jacqueline, you're never going to heal your spine without surgery. It's scientifically impossible. Look at your MRI. Let's just book your surgery now. So long story short, I really committed to my own healing. This practice was really transformative for me. And that's why I said to Sean, you know, early on, I'm like, your sleep sucks. Why don't you try this? It's going to really help you. And I knew in my heart it would, but he had to learn that for himself, right? Just like everyone, like, don't buy anything I say. Try it and see if it works for yourself. That's the invitation. So that's really exciting for me to see is that when I share it and when people really track their sleep and then they see the before and after and they're like, wow, I'm functioning better. Oh my gosh, I'm sharing this now with my partner. And I think one fire chief was like, I actually had my granddaughter do it. So like it's just so beautiful to see that that it's really helping people be able to fall asleep after, heightened experiences. You all have highly traumatic situations, that you deal with on a daily basis. We really need to care for your nervous system. And in the course, you're going to learn what happens with our hormone profiles. And we're going to go pretty deep in the hormone endocrinology of things. And if you care about testosterone, which I think most first responders, that's something of value, you know, it's going to be a wake up call like, whoa, this is one easy way that I can boost my T levels, lower my stress hormones, improve my metabolism, improve my cardiovascular profile, improve my immune, like all of the things, my cognitive function, everything. So something so simple can have such a profound impact. And so that's what it's all about. We're really focused on the solution. We are going to speak to some of the eye-opening research, but this is really about empowering you all with practices, solutions, and we'll get into some other practical things like what you could do around the firehouse, your environment, nutrition. We'll talk about that great stuff too, but the heart of the program is in the sleep recovery practice, skills that are invaluable to all first responders. So that's my spiel for you all. Do you have any questions?
I had a quick question, Jacqueline.
Mhm.
The research that you had kind of mentioned about low T and what you guys were seeing, could you share that with me? I sent an email out about low T earlier, and we have guys that are late 20s, early 30s, and they're starting testosterone treatments. And for me personally, I mean, I would much rather use a holistic path with that. But I was wondering if you could share that information with me so I could send it out to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me pull up here. I will send you this. I don't think I've sent you this yet. Um, so this is, here we go. Okay, so here's some articles. This is just a little bit about why first responders need specialized sleep training. And each page is linked to an article I have published in Fire Engineering. So this one's cardiac. This one is on suicide and how it's connected. And then this one, it's in Firefighter Nation. It's the sister company to Fire Engineering. Sleep loss is linked to low T. So I will send you this. You can reference it, you can share it. And then in the actual class, I'm gonna break down. We're gonna go deep on the pathways of sleep, our wake hormones, cortisol in particular, which is the key player. I don't want to give away too much right now, but it's coming. There's a whole section that we're going to break down, and then you're going to be like, oh, and I will go over some supplements like magnesium, for example. Magnesium is used for over 300 enzyme actions in the body, and magnesium is one mineral that is like a precursor that helps support the natural production of testosterone. And there's some others in there as well that we will go over.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think I sent out this article or that article on low T that you had mentioned there.
Okay.
But yeah, any more information that you guys have, I would love to I feel like that's like a trigger point for a lot of people. So the
Okay,
more info on that I can share with people, the better.
sure. Well then, um, do we have a couple minutes? I can just even share like a little sneak peek of that section and I could speak to it now and then people could watch us and get a nugget of, of the class. Would you like that?
I would love that, actually. That'd be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm wondering if I can bring, let me see if I have my whiteboard I could bring over here. Um, I'll just do it without. I usually like to draw a diagram, but I'll do it without. Okay, so every morning, so what is our primary wake hormone? I already named it.
Cortisol.
Yes. Cortisol is a glucocorticoid hormone. And right here above your kidneys, we have these little tiny baby adrenal glands that secrete this hormone every single morning. So when the sun comes out, the blue spectrum from the sun, the specific type of light, hits our cells in our eyes. And these special, they're called ganglionic cells in our eyes, communicate with a part of our brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. You're going to all need this for your test in the class. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the SCN is, let's call it your internal alarm clock. So the light hits your eyes, the eyes signal the SCN, and all of a sudden, there's a message sent, just like a dispatcher to, police, respond here. Okay, that message goes down to our adrenal glands situated above our kidneys, secrete this glucocorticoid hormone, cortisol. Every morning, it should rise, and every evening, it should fall. So if you think of a roller coaster, this is like the natural 24-hour rhythm. It should peak an hour within waking, and then by the time the evening comes, the sun sets, the moon comes out, cortisol should go down. Now, our sleep quality has everything to do with how much our cortisol levels rise in the morning. We need them to peak and rise in the morning, and we need them to go down in the evening. What happens with first responders, and I'm going to get to the testosterone. What happens with first responders is that our cortisol levels rise in the morning, and then let's say lunch happens, maybe they start to taper a little bit, but then it's like, oh, I'm a little tired. Instead of napping, I'm going to take some caffeine. Caffeine artificially stimulates, okay, more cortisol, okay? And then, oh, a structure fire drops, dinner time, oh, cortisol's up, up, up. So now our cortisol levels are high all day and they never taper off. Now there's two real reasons why how it influences our testosterone. So here we are, high cortisol. Our sleep hormone, which is not just a sleep hormone. What is the primary sleep hormone that you all know of? And anyone can answer. Throw it out there.
Melatonin.
There you go. Good work. Melatonin, our primary sleep hormone. Cortisol and melatonin have an inverse relationship. So if one is out, the other is not, and vice versa. So long as the body is producing cortisol, it's going to stay suppressed. Now, melatonin is not just a sleep timing hormone. Research has actually shown that melatonin plays a key role in your body's natural defense against cancer. So, okay, so now we're going to layer in all of the connections to hormones and testosterone and even cancer, okay? So we have cortisol's up here, our melatonin is suppressed, so now our immune system is down. And what happens? So in order for cortisol to be produced, it needs a specific set of ingredients. Let's think of it like cake batter. You need eggs, flour, sugar, so on and so forth. The body creates hormones in the same way. Basically, here's an ingredient, here's an ingredient, here's an ingredient. One of the main ingredients that the body needs to make cortisol is the same ingredient the body needs to make testosterone, and it's a precursor called pregnenolone. Essentially, the body will triage pregnenolone to go to your survival hormone, because cortisol is not just for waking, it's for survival. Why? Because if there's a tiger or a threat, you need to be awake to survive that threat. If you were tired and sleepy and there's a threat, you would be vulnerable. And our bodies are designed to survive. So of course, anytime you have any incident, even if it's not your emergency, your body is releasing survival hormones, triaging pregnenolone to go to be awake, to survive, to function, and you need it, right? But the problem is that we get stuck there. Our cortisol levels are so high. Pregnenolone is triage, 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 go to cortisol, forget the growth hormone. So what's the solution? We need to learn how to modulate our cortisol levels and lower our cortisol levels naturally. Then things like melatonin, which turns on our rest and digest parasympathetic mode, our melatonin can rise, and then our sleep happens, slow wave sleep. That's when testosterone is produced. Okay, very simple formula. Does that make sense?
Totally. Thank you for taking the time to explain that, because that's I think that's going to be a key figure for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And I could, it might take me a minute to pull up some slides on research on, you know, this practice. The third stage of the practice I'm going to guide has been shown to boost testosterone. And maybe I could just email it to you. It'll take me a minute to pull up where that is. But because essentially what you're doing is you're engaging your parasympathetic response. Okay. Just like it takes time for your body, let's say, you go work out, it takes time for all the systems to get into that flow state. It takes 10 times more effort for your body to come down. Why? Because of that commitment, like your biology is committed to survive. So if there's any chance there's a threat, nope, I'm going to just keep my body awake in case that threat is still there. And we have to do specific things to shift those patterns, whether it's doing something physical, and I'll guide you through specific physical practices. Like after you run a call, this is what you can do to get your body to signal to the brain, oh, I'm safe now. Tiger's gone. Done with the structure fire. My body needs to now recognize I'm back at the firehouse to optimize that time that you have before the next call comes. So if you start learning these practices, again, just like anything, you can't just brush your teeth once and be like, yeah, my teeth are great for life. You can't just, practice car extrication once or tying knots or throwing ladders once. You can't just do it once and then be good for life. Like you have to practice. Like your nervous system is a living, breathing thing that is constantly adapting to your environment. But it becomes, our nervous systems have patterns, and those patterns are held in our fascia, our posture. And so we have to train our nervous system by repeatedly practicing things. And as you do that, you will have, as I mentioned earlier, autonomic flexibility that helps you be able to, recognize I'm back at the firehouse. I'm safe now. Now my body knows exactly what to do to go back to sleep. And voila, much more effortless. Okay. I'm not going to say it's like, okay, every single time a perfect solution, but it's just like a muscle. Like anytime you do a technique on the streets, like you might do it slightly different every time. It might look a little different every time, but it gets the job done. And the more you practice, the better your, let's we're going to call it vagal toning. Our vagus nerve is our 10th cranial nerve. That is our biggest nerve bundle in our body that innervates all of our organs. And this system, this highway, is responsible for our relaxation, for our ability to go into those restorative states, to repair muscle, joints, our brain, our heart, immune system. If our vagal tone is low, your system's not going to be very efficient. But doing these practices will increase your vagal tone so you restore more effectively and you can function better. You're going to have more energy. You're going to have more mental clarity. Your T levels are going to go up. I've actually had firefighters, like a firefighter here in Colorado. I worked with their department a couple years in a row. And the second time, he said, "Hey, I brought you my hormone panel. I want you to see the before and after from the practices. Before your class, my T levels were low, and after practicing for, I don't know how long it was. I know that the 8-week mark is when it really shows a difference. But he showed me his T levels had markedly improved. So you do these practices consistently every day for 8 weeks. Not only will your T levels be higher, your brain will actually be larger. And we'll go over research in the class on what happens to like neuroplasticity of the brain. Like if you think about it, it's quite incredible. Like our brains shrink as we age, which is sad to think about. They shrink when we have things like TBI or post-traumatic stress. High cortisol actually will shrink certain areas of your brain too, which is terrible to think about, the inflammatory effect of cortisol over long periods of time. But what's really cool is doing this practice will also increase your prefrontal cortex, which is your executive reasoning, your hippocampus, which is learning and memory, your temporal parietal junction, which is like empathy. So yeah, the benefits are endless. And when you see how simple it is and what a wonderful way of like, oh gosh, I've had such a busy monkey mind my whole life. And I could have been doing this practice because it gives me something to focus on. Man, it just becomes the easiest way to rest. And then to Sean's point earlier is, when he early on, sometimes he'd come home from shift and then he'd be out all day. He's like, I'm just going to sleep a little bit. And then it'd be like 8 hours later. What's cool about this practice, specifically for like firehouse use, is that it is a defined protocol, like 3 steps, boom, boom, boom. It's a defined period of rest, and then you're up and you're ready to go. And most firefighters are like, wow, I feel like I have so much energy. Like one firefighter I think I put his testimonial on my website. He's like, I went for a 6-mile walk after your practice, and I like had so much energy. And so yeah, it's very defined. It's not a free pass. Like we're not coming in to be like, you just need to sleep all day. That's not the case at all. We need to optimize our sleep. We need to make it efficient so that for the little bit of time you guys do get to sleep, because those calls are going to drop at any time, you need to be prepared, and these practices are going to help with that. Any other questions?
I had a question. I was gone for the first portion of this, and you may have talked about it already, but I was wondering when we have the actual class, if you had any statistics or studies that were done on, like when we're trying to fit sleep in, like maybe an extra 45 minutes here or an extra hour there. I was wondering if you could kind of bring those with you and maybe talk a little bit about the small chunks of sleep that we can get, maybe in the morning, you know, uh, or little naps. So that's all.
Yes, we will bring not just the research, but we'll look at different possibilities of what this looks like during your shift and then off shift and times of day, for sure.
You were talking about the
and the time, like the length of napping matters as well. And we'll look at a traditional nap versus a sleep recovery. We'll compare and times. We'll get into all of that for sure.
When you talked about the autonomic flexibility, is one of the markers for that heart rate variability? Is that kind of related to that vagal tone that you were talking about?
Yes, and I think University of Florida did a study on the third stage of the sleep recovery practice and found that it increases heart rate variability. So yes.
I don't really have any other questions. If anybody else does, please jump in. But I just wanted to say that I've really been talking to people as I go to conferences and stuff this year, and I had the opportunity to talk to Sarah Janke earlier this year at a conference, and we were talking specifically about sleep. And I think Griffin shares this, that I'm excited about how much discussion there is now in fire service literature and culture about sleep, because before a couple of years ago, we didn't see that. And I really think that it is foundational. And when I was talking to Sarah Janke and telling her that we were bringing you guys in, I just wanted to share with you that she was very complimentary. She said that we were really lucky to bring you in and that you were wonderful and that this training was going to be great. And so we're so excited for you guys to be coming to Pocatello to deliver this to our people, because I really do believe that this is going to be a game changer for our folks. And so we're just super excited to have you come. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. That means so much. And Chief O'Hearn, we're honored and humbled and grateful, and really look forward to meeting you all in person. And I'm so glad you got to meet Sarah. She's so wonderful. And what kind words. Thank you. We love the work of Dr. Sarah Janke and Dr. Joel Billings, and we'll share some of their amazing research they're coming out with. They're doing some amazing studies right now on shift start times and looking at some of those variables. And so as that comes out, I'll share with you. I'm also hopefully going to have some of their findings published in the book I've been writing this last year for fire engineering, which will come out next year. And so hopefully that'll be a good resource as well. Okay, great. Well, I'm so excited about this. Yeah. Anything else there?
No, you guys have your accommodations all set and you're all ready to go. Do you need any help arranging anything, or?
Nope, we will be all set, and we just really look forward to getting on out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much. Oh, and we'll have one of our program assistants with us too. She has a background in fire and EMS as well, so she'll be with us as well. Okay, anything else? Oh, one thing I guess to plan for is for those of you who are enrolled, please plan on coming to the training in comfortable attire. That could be PT clothes, workout clothes. Plan on having like a very active and engaged day together. You could bring a notepad and pens. We'll have some printouts for you as well to take optional notes. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, however it is that you like to learn. And then after the training is completed, I will send to both Griffin and Chief O'Hearn like the resource packet that can then be distributed to everyone. It's like a massive packet, so I don't know if it's worth printing out. We could, but it's easy to just distribute via email as well. So that'll be sent out to you in addition to all the other things that we've been sending. Sean, am I forgetting anything?
One thing possibly it's in the chat if you want to double check.
Oh, I haven't seen anything. So yeah, that's about it. Oh, today we have a program that we're announcing. I'll share it with them when we're in person.
All right.
I was going to ask, is there anything that we should be prepared for, waters or any kind of snacks, refreshments or stuff during the class? It's an 8-hour class, correct? Is that right? We're doing,
Yeah, so we'll break for lunch. So if everyone wanted to pack a lunch or go to a restaurant and have lunch, it's nice to have everyone stay around because the day is so full. So sometimes it ends up being like people lose track of time, and so I'm inviting everyone to bring a lunch. But outside of that, yeah, a water bottle is great, and I can pick up some fruit or something for little morning snacks.
we'll work on that. So since you're traveling.
This is
Great.
a very small thing, Chief, but one preparatory thing that's really nice is if we can get either through dry erase boards or just a little printed piece of paper signage for the training room that we can put up for when we actually do the practice to just try to remind people that we're doing a sleep recovery practice in that room, so that potentially like hallway noise or conversations right outside the door are prevented. That's usually like a really good thing to have available once we start the training.
Okay. And one of the things that we are doing here, I'll just say it, there's only a few of our people on here, but we've talked, and we're not going to bring on duty crews just because of the running calls during the day and the radios and in and out. We just feel like it would really detract from the training. And so we're hoping for those of you that are on, and please help us share the message that we're doing it just to preserve the training and the relaxation and get the most out of it. And we're hoping that people will take advantage of signing up and coming in when they don't have to respond on calls, so that they can really dedicate their attention to this training.
Awesome idea. Thanks, Chief. That is actually really helpful because the first time you learn these techniques, it's nice to be able to have for someone who's participating to be able to give the full attention to learn the techniques. Because if there's a potential for a call, that just kind of secures that experience in a really great way. So how thoughtful, and thank you for suggesting that. Okay, great. Well, so lovely to see you all here on Zoom this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will look forward to being out there in just a few weeks with you all.
Yeah. See you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Sounds great. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you, Jacqueline.
All
Thank
right.
you, Sean. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye now.